aujourd'hui, on va parler du futur simple. So I will be explaining the new verb tense, le futur simple, and also the little assignment that will go with it. So this is a new verb tense. You use le futur simple when you want to talk about events in the future. To form le futur simple, you add these endings to the infinitive of the verb. So here I have manger, finir, and on the next page we will see lire. So we have ER verbs, IR verbs, and verbs that will end with RE. Okay, whether they're technically RE verbs or not, as long as they end with RE, they'll be in this category as well. So you take the entire verb, manger and finir, for example, and you add these little endings, depending on what the subject pronoun is. So I've taken the verb manger and I've conjugated it over here. So you can see in each one, you have manger in every single form. Do you see that? M-A-N-G-E-R. The entire verb is in there with these little endings that I have over here. So je mangerai, tu mangeras, il, elle mangera, nous mangerons, vous mangerez, ils, elles mangeront. What do they mean? I will eat, you will eat, he or she will eat, etc. Notice in English we have to have the little verb will and then the actual verb that we're talking about in the future. In French, it is all built into the one verb. So if it is the verb to eat that you want to use in the future, saying today I will eat in the cafeteria, for example, the verb is to eat, it is manger. You just have your little ending here, ai, je mangerai, and it means I will eat. The same thing for IR verbs. Nothing changes, which is really nice. Normally, we've seen in the past when we're conjugating, for example, in the present tense, we have different endings for ER verbs and different endings for IR verbs. In the future simple, they are the same. So these are identical to these. We take the entire verb once again. So if you go all the way down, the conjugation here of all 6 forms, the entire verb finir is in there with the little endings. So je finirai means I will finish. Tu finiras, you will finish. Exactly the same all the way down. For verbs that end with re, it is almost identical. Okay, these are still regular, so all verbs that have an re ending that are considered regular will follow this pattern. You have these little endings, same as we did up here for ir, same for er. The only thing is we need to drop the e. We need to drop this little e on the verb so that it lines up perfectly with an r. If you look back to these ones, they finished with an r. Finir finishes with an r. So it goes very nicely right before the endings. ER verb, manger, finishes with an R. So it too finishes quite nicely and then you add your endings. If we don't take off the E here for lire, we will end up having an E right before the ending. And it's not right. Okay, won't sound right. Lire. No, we need to take that E off. That is the only thing. It's still not considered irregular. You just take that E off. It's just a little thing that you need to do. And then you add your endings. So nothing changes. Je lirai. I will read. Tu liras. You will read. So you will read that book for homework. Tu liras ce livre pour les devoirs. Il, elle lira. Nous lirons. Vous lirez. Il, elles liront. Same endings for all verb forms. Okay, the bad news is there are some irregular verbs, but there is good news too. They will have the same endings. So these little endings, okay, will always be the same ones you use for regular verbs or irregular. Here is the list, okay, of irregular verbs. So take, for example, aller, very common verb, to go. We use that quite a bit in the future. Tomorrow I will go into the grocery store, etc. And so you now need to learn this little form right here. IR, okay? Ir. Once you know that it is that form, you just add your endings, same as before. Remember, that was the good news. The good news is that the endings don't change. The only thing irregular and odd about these is that you don't just take these endings and plunk them at the end of the verb like we did for these other nice regular ones where we took the entire verb. Here instead, we're not doing that. We're not putting an AI for je, allerai. Oh no, we have to use this form, ir. For avoir in the future, it will be or. Devoir, devre. So these, I've listed them for you here, are all the new stems that you need to learn, okay? And then you add your ending. And I've conjugated two for you here. So the verb aller, as you saw here, was our first one. My little stem is called ir. And then I just add my endings. So it's ir all the way down. Whether it's for je or whether it's for vous, it's still ir. So that's part of the good news too. You're not learning something new for every single form. So as long as you have this little list handy and ready, you look back at it. And if you have to conjugate any of these verbs, you look at what you would be using. So it's voudre for the future. So going back to aller, j'irai, tu iras, il, elle ira, nous irons, vous irez, ils iront, elles iront. Same endings, just the stem is a little bit peculiar. It's different. I took voir. Okay, voir was the last one in this list. I look at my little stem, and there it is, ver. And now to that stem, regardless of the form, whether it's in the singulars or in the plurals, it will have that stem. You can see it all the way down. And I've added my usual endings, the same endings that I've used all along. The only other thing is in the negative. It's nothing really strange about this. We have ne pas surrounding the verb. Okay, so the ne comes after the subject and the pas after the verb. We did this in the present tense as well. So really nothing peculiar here. We have one verb. The negative must surround the one verb. That's always the way it's been. Here's another one. Nous ne courons jamais. So I'm showing you that jamais can be negative as well. It means never. And you don't have pas with jamais. It's one or the other. One other example I'm just going to add. I just thought of it now. I'm going to look for something with a vowel. Il n'ira pas. Don't forget that if your ne is right up against a vowel, it will lose the e. Okay, so I will leave that example in there. Okay, for your little assignment, it's basically just conjugating, and I've split it up for you. I've given you all the regulars here up on top. Okay, I have to change this verb because I see it already there twice. And all you need to do is conjugate. So it says ma famille. Ma famille is singular. It would be in the il and elle category. Okay, so you take your entire verb, because these are nice and regular, and then you just add your little ending. It's as simple as that. Okay? For prendre, remember it's an RE verb, because if I take my whole thing, okay, and my subject is right here, vous. If I take the whole thing, and now I add my ending, which for vous is EZ, wow, that looks very odd. So remember the rule was you had to take off the E for RE verbs. There, that's better. Okay, prendrai. Now it ends with an R. And I'll just do one more. Thomas et moi. Okay, so that's the new form. And this is a nice ER verb. I take my whole verb and then I add my ending. Okay, which would be the ending for the new form. All right, so you're going to give that a try. And then down here, I just gave you a few. These are the irregulars, so you have to look back at the list. So you don't take the whole verb, devoir, and put it in here. No, devoir, you go back, you find devoir, there it is, devoir. It's D-E-V-R, so that is what you will put in. Okay. You will put the D-E-V-R. Now Elizabeth is elle, singulier, so I just add an A. Done. So go down the list, okay, and put in the correct form. And then finally, I would like you to just put these in the negative. I said you can use ne pas. If you'd rather use ne jamais, you can. There's other ones too, but I want to just keep it simple. And once again, you're just surrounding the verb. You could see the verb. There it is. It's only one verb. You're going to surround it with the ne and the pas. I'm not going to do an example there. You're just going to look back at these ones and you're going to figure it out. Okay? Bonne chance.